Ladies and gentlemen, people and pipsqueaks, welcome to Stunts Pro Academy. This is a test episode for a potential series in which we help you go from single player hero to competitive hero by giving you the tools you need to translate your skills and experience into faster times and to get you from entering the amateur league to shooting straight out the top of it. I'm Overdrive, I'm one of 24 people who have ever won a race in the Stunts competition, and today I will be your driving instructor. If this does become a series, we'll be seeing different tracks, cars and styles of racing, although I will mostly be using manual gears, because in stunts it has several advantages, one of which I'll show you today. The track we're racing on today is from the Stunts competition, track number 200, Westwood by Kevin Pickle, and I really hope I'm pronouncing that right. As you can see, it's a relatively simple track with for this game a distinct lack of elaborate stunts, and that allows us to focus on today's lesson, corners. The car we're using today was not originally included in the game. It's a custom car, the Melange XGT88, made by community member Alan Rotoy, a true classic in the community. The Melange is what I would classify as a fast car, with good grip and acceleration. It's my favorite type of car, and it's also a very good type of car for learning and scouting tracks. You want to set the car to manual in the selection menu, and then in the game you can shift with A and Z or with space and enter. The track we're using today can be downloaded from the Stunts website. The car and even the game itself, if you don't have it, can be downloaded from the Southern Cross Stunts Trophy mods and files archive. Links are in the description. The style we're racing in today is freestyle, no replay handling. Freestyle means you can go off-road as long as the game doesn't give you any penalty time. No replay handling I'll explain a bit later on. Okay, so in the car, and the first thing I do when I enter a car I haven't driven for a while is I find where the shift point is. I want to know how it sounds and I want to know how it looks on the meter. There's no overshifting in stunts, you just want to find the top of the rev curve, but it looks a bit different in every car. And there it is. Right, we know what it looks and sounds like now. Now, corners. Corners work the same as they do in most driving games and in real life. You go from outside to inside, back to outside. You brake before entering. And you speed up as you exit. Now the entry speed is probably the most important factor if you're going to make a turn or not. And that means for a race like this that you want to get it consistent. And that's why we're using the manual gears. Small corners we do in first gear and the larger corners we do in second gear. We just shift down to brake. And if I don't do something like I did just there, it works just fine. Okay, so I said it was a no replay handling race. NORH, what does that mean? In stunts you can press escape at any time to pause, rewind and continue driving. So note the time we hit there, 47:40 at the entrance of the corner. Now we're going to be driving a different way. We're not slowing down, we're just cutting off the corner. And look, now we're at about 44 something. So we saved 3 seconds by not doing the corners the regular way, slowing down to the top of first gear. So that's definitely the way we want to drive it. Now we have a second section here. The corners are a little further apart, but it's still useful to check. So 55 something. And now we're going to redrive it without slowing down to the top of first gear and doing the corners the regular way. So this is a section time analysis, and this is also replay handling. This is what it is. So we're not using it today for our actual race, but we're using it for this scouting lab. So yeah, if I go out of the corner here, let's just reset, because we're still looking for that 55 we had in the start of this corner, and here we are, 54 something. So we saved another second and a half, So these are very big gains. So we've got a jump coming up, and in stunts you want to shift up before a jump or during the first part of the flight time. Because in stunts jumps speed you up, and by shifting up you get more advantage out of the speed up. And that's the second reason why manual gears are faster than automatic gears. Did I say I was going to do one reason? I was going to do two reasons. Now these chicanes here, these swiggly wiggly roads, they're a lot of fun because they couldn't figure out how to program the shape correctly. So all the grass around them is just as fast as asphalt. It's a great track element for giving drivers some breathing room. Now this boulevard here, another good find during our scouting lab. It's too close to the hill off, so we can't drive straight at it. We need to have a bit of an angle, and we go right past it. And then it's just a straight line to the finish. We made it. So that's a bit below 141, but with a bit of replay handling. See, I did a test lap earlier, 145, no replay handling. But before I do the real lap, let's look at those corners for a moment. I said that your entry speed is very important for a corner. That's true, but you also want to start steering at the right time. If you start cornering too early, you have to correct. You're going to shoot straight through. If you start cornering too late, that's not quite as bad, but you still have a suboptimal line. You're not going to get to the apex, to the inside of the corner. So you're going to have to do a bit of a slower corner. Now during the corner, usually somewhere before the halfway point, you want to do two things. One, you want to start speeding up again. And two, you want to stop steering as hard. That's just gonna set you into a slide, send you out of the corner. Now Stunts does not have an option to give less of a steering input, like more modern games built for a controller or a phone or steering wheel. So instead you want to tap the direction key. Press it for a few frames, release it for a few frames again. Just tap 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 tap. Now the farther you get into the corner, the less steering you want to do. In fact, if you're all the way at the end and you feel like you're sliding, you can sometimes counter steer a little bit. Press the opposite arrow key for just a moment, just 1 to a few frames, and then continue your corner regularly. That can sometimes stop a spin. It's a bit more of a replay handling technique until you've gotten a feeling for the cars to feel it in the moment and react. So you might not use it today, but there's going to be a point where you can use it. Then, as we were doing these corners at the top of a gear, we want to shift up. Now shifting up in the middle of a corner can sometimes send you into a spin, but when you're getting out, when you're steering less and less, the moment you feel it's safe, shift up so you can start accelerating again. Now let's review today's lesson while doing a proper no replay handling lap. Let's see if I can beat my test lap now. So, top of first gear for the small corners. Outside, inside, outside. Outside, inside, outside. See the shift up while going out. Top of second gear for the large corners. Watch out, small corner coming up. There's a jump, but we're not gonna shift up for this one, because we want to be in the top of second gear for this corner. Now here we had a shortcut, so we're not slowing down. We're letting the grass slow us down instead. And another shortcut. Cut this corner. And cut this corner. Now only large corners left. Outside, inside, outside. Top of second gear. Shift up if you exit. Shift up early in the jump, or even before it. We can't shift up and just jump, because we're already in fifth gear. And now it's a matter of seeing the next corner coming. I'm shifting down a bit early here. You can save at least another half a second. Shift up for this jump. Chicane is fast grass. Watch out for this corner, it's the last one. And then watch out for the boulevard below. Avoided it. And then just keep going. And this is the sort of time you can do using the rules we had today. 1:43. And this is your assignment for today. Catch my test lap, 1:45, or if you can, catch the lap I just showed you, 143. Now you may have found it a bit odd that I selected a custom car for the first race in such a series. Not everyone in the audience will be used to it after all, but I had a good reason for that. Under the Stunts car coefficient system you never quite know which car is going to be the fastest, but in the case of ZCT 200 the Melange came out on top. And this means we can compare the time we just got to the time the racers got at the time. As you can see, all the competitive laps with the Melange scored between 136 something and 126 something. That's driven time, the numbers right behind the cars. The other time is with the car coefficients taken into consideration. But that is with replay handling. So 143 without replay handling, it's not bad at all. If you can set this sort of time and then add replay handling, you can be competitive in these races. So now, maybe you thought that was too easy. Maybe you tried this and you got the 143 easily and you want more. That's why I kept driving. When you know the rules, you can follow the rules, you can break the rules. And that's what we're doing here. We're pushing the car. We're still using the same basic system. We're still remembering where in our gear we want to be. Except it's now not quite top of second gear and not quite the top of third gear for the larger corners. Still shifting back to the right gear manually, but now braking a little bit on top of it, hearing if the sound is right, and then going into the corner. On the large corner, try to stay within the lines, try to avoid the red and white stripes because they are basically grass. On the small corners you can cut them a little bit, or a lot, in the same corners where we did that previously. And as I show you this lap, I want to tell you a little bit about ZCT 200. See, it was a very special race. We showed the credits to Stunts in the beginning, and there were a bunch of names on that, but one name is extra special. Kevin Pickle was the programmer for Stunts, the sole programmer. He's the man who made the world, he's the man who made the physics. Basically, most of the fun gameplay, Kevin Pickle is to thank. Now Kevin Pickle is not actively involved in the Stunts community, he has his own hobbies, but there has been some contact, and for the 200 Stunts race he made this track, based on a racetrack that he used to visit as a kid, which has been closed since roughly the time that Stunts first came out. And to me it has something unreal. Here's this game of loops and corkscrews and all sorts of combination stunts, and the man who made it all makes a flat racetrack, but still a very enjoyable one to drive. Anyway, 1:34:30, and this is a time I'd be happy with. I'd send this into competition, it probably wouldn't be the winning replay, but I feel good about this one. I spent about half an hour getting this one and the other time you see, then I drove a little more. I got a third time, but it was a bit less than the second one. So the second run was the one that ended up in the video. So this is your extra credits, bonus, super, turbo, mega assignment. And if we look at the scoreboard, this would have gone in the 7th place in the actual race. Just below Dreadnought, who had already won a Stunts race at that point in his career. And this is a competition with replay handling, which I think just goes to show how much of a difference practicing your corners, getting them consistent, getting them fast can make. I in fact still lose most of my races on cornering, because some people are just so good at it. And one thing you can do to practice your cornering is to keep driving no replay handling. Even if you're doing the replay handling competitions and the replay handling big tricks, just once in a while, no replay handle, practice those corners. So those are your target times. 1:45, 1:43, and for the Mega Turbo extra credits, 1:34. If you enjoyed this style of racing, there is no currently active competition which uses this exact rule set, but the Race for Kicks does have a no replay handling contest, combining it with strict O-wood, which means no leaving the road and doing all the tricks like they're supposed to be done. Outside of the core Stunts community, there's also DOSReloaded.de, who run a contest with similar rules to that. The Custom Car Cup and the big one Stunts are the places where you can get your freestyle on, combined with replay handling. But the closest to what we are doing today may be the Stunts live races, organized on the forum. Now, those are great events to join. If you like driving the Melange, then you probably already like the Jaguar and the P962 out of the original cars. You can also go looking for the Speedgate, or for my own creation, the 3 cars from the DTM pack. If you got a time you're proud of, you can share it in the comments, or you can just come and say hi in the Stunts shout box. I will see you in the next one, or maybe not. Keep driving pipsqueaks and stay awesome.